What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing an Ice Barrier deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because this deck is one of my favorite water decks to play because you can summon out all sorts of awesome synchro monsters like Trishula. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So without further ado, let's go and get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Mirror Mage. Mirror Mage is definitely a 3 of in the build because this card is an awesome tuner that has the ability to contribute one other effect monster to special summon up to 3 Ice Barrier tokens that are Aqua, level 1, 0 attack, and 0 defense. And if you do, increase this card's level by that number, basically increasing it by 3 levels, making this card a level 5 monster. This card also has an insane effect that if it's sent to the graveyard, you can actually add 1 Ice Barrier card from your banishment or your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is a crazy powerful effect. We then play 3 copies of Garrigus. Garrigus is definitely a 3 of in the build and such an awesome card that while you control another Ice Barrier monster, your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters in the graveyard, which is a really powerful effect just to help you lock down the grave. This card is also an awesome extender that if you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this card from your hand into Pinson, and if this card is normally special summoned, you can actually special summon a level 5 or lower Ice Barrier monster from the hand or the grave, which is a great effect because this card is actually a tuner, helping you go in for your synchro plays. We then play 3 copies of Revealer. Revealer is definitely a 3 of in the deck as well, and an extremely powerful card in this deck that while you control another Ice Barrier monster, your opponent cannot tribute summon, which is an awesome effect to help you lock down your opponent depending on what deck they're playing. You can also discard a card to special summon an Ice Barrier tuner from the deck, which is a great effect to help you get an additional Ice Barrier out on your side of the field. We then play 2 copies of Speaker. Speaker is a really good extender in the deck, but I feel like 2 copies is really all you need. Now while you control another Ice Barrier monster, defense position monsters that your opponent controls cannot change their battle position, and also if you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this card in the hand, and if you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can banish this card in the graveyard to special summon an Ice Barrier token. It's an Aqua Water level 1 with 0 attack and 0 defense. We then play 2 copies of Hexa. Hexa's awesome in the deck as a 2 of and just an extremely powerful card in this deck, as well as you control another Ice Barrier monster. Monsters that your opponent control lose 500 attack and defense, and during your main phase, you can actually send a level 3 or lower Ice Barrier monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this card's level becomes the same as that monster until the end of the turn, which is a great effect to be able to use with this level 1 tuner. We then play a single copy of General Ryo. General Ryo is an insane floodgate in this deck that basically if your opponent's going to activate a monster effect, they have to actually discard a card or the effect is negated, making it the best target to summon off your copy of Lancia, which is insane to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Warlock of the Ice Barrier. This card is awesome as a 1 of in the build because this card has the ability while you control another face-up Ice Barrier monster, both players must set spell cards before activating them and cannot activate them until their next turn, basically being a walking anti-spell, which is actually insane. This card is great as a 1 of in the deck and a card that I usually summon off of Lancia, just like our copy of General Ryo. We then play 3 copies of Ice Shade Ran Agreenie. Agrenie's definitely a 3 of in the build because this card helps us go in for a copy of Lancia extremely easily with the ability to discard another Ice Jade or a water monster to special summon this card from your hand. Then you special summon an Ice Jade token that's an Aqua Water level 3 with 0 attack and 0 defense, so you can use it with this level 7 tuner to help you instantly step into a copy of one of your level 10 synchros. We then play 3 copies of Swamp Frog. Swamp Frog is an extremely handy card in this deck because you can special summon this card in your hand by discarding 1 other water monster, and when this card is summoned, you can actually send a level 2 or lower Aqua monster from your deck or face up from the field to the graveyard, which will instantly send your copy of Mirror Mage to the graveyard, so you can actually search out your copy of Freezing Chains, so you can bring back your copy of Mirror Mage and then step into it totally awesome. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's definitely a 3 out in the build just to stop your opponent from touching the deck. We then play 3 copies of Molcharmy Fluros. Fluros is definitely a 3 of as well in the deck to basically just help us dig in the deck for the exact card that we need. We then play 3 copies of Nibiru. Nibiru's amazing in this deck as a 3 of just to help us break our opponent's board. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is really good as a 1-of in the deck to basically just stop your opponent's hand traps. We then play a single copy of Crossset Designator. Crossset Designator is awesome in the deck as a 1-of as well, to basically just stop the hand traps that we're playing in this deck that our opponent might be using, like Nibiru, Fluros, and even Ash Blossom. We then play a single copy of Winds Over the Ice Barrier. Winds Over the Ice Barrier is really good as a 1-of in the build, but it is searchable, which is why we just play a single copy in the deck. And lets us treat any number of Ice Barrier monsters to special summon from our deck that many level 4 or lower Ice Barrier monsters with different names from each other. And also, during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card in the graveyard and then target one of your Ice Barrier monsters that's banished or in the graveyard and add it back to your hand. We play a single copy of Freezing Chains. Freezing Chains is absolutely amazing in this deck, but you really only need a single copy because this card is searchable in the deck, and it has the ability that when this card is activated, you actually get to target a level 4 or lower Ice Barrier monster from in your graveyard and special summon it. And also, while you control 3 or more Ice Barrier monsters that you control are unaffected by the activated effects of your opponent's monsters that were special summoned from the extract, which is a crazy powerful effect. We then play 3 copies of Medallion of the Ice Barrier. Medallion is really good in the deck as a 3-of because this card is basically Rhoda for the deck, letting you search out any Ice Barrier monster you want from your deck to your hand. And the best part about this card is it's not a once per turn. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 3, and that's going to be 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is definitely a 3-of in the build, just to basically stop your opponent's monster effects, and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. That's one of the wonderful things about Ice Barriers. There's so much room for hand traps in this build, as we're actually playing around 12 hand traps in this deck, just to lock down our opponent, or basically going in for our big boss monsters. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with Lancia. Lancia is definitely a 2-of in the build, and this card is our big boss monster of the deck. The only downside of this card is it's actually not an Ice Barrier monster. This card actually is Lancia, Ancestral Dragon of the Ice Mountain. And this card is actually insane, because once per chain, if your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can special summon an Ice Barrier monster from your hand, deck, extract, or your graveyard. Then you can actually change one attack monster opponent controls to face down defense position, and you can only use that effect twice per turn, which usually we're summoning out our copy of our General Ryo and our copy of Warlock, depending on what we're playing against, but always General Ryo first to basically use it so we can negate our opponent's plays. This card also is insane because it replaces itself, because if this face-up Synchro Summon card in its owner's control leaves a heal because of an opponent's card, you can special summon an Ice Barrier monster from your extract, and it is treated as a Synchro Summon, which is an insane ability. And play a single copy of Trishula Zero. Trishula Zero is great as a 1-of in the build, because when this card is Synchro Summon, you can actually banish 3 cards that your opponent controls, which is an insane effect, and also replaces itself with the original Trishula. We then play a single copy of the original Trishula. This card is great and one of the most iconic Synchro monsters ever created, as it just banishes 3 cards, which is actually insane. And then a single copy of the Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign. This card just gets absolutely massive on the field and drops your opponent's attack points down, which is great depending on the amount of cards that are actually banished. And if a card is banished, you can actually banish a card each from your opponent's field and graveyard, which is such a powerful effect. and my single copy of Ice Jade GramAgreenie. GramAgreenie is really good as a one-of and just an extremely powerful level 10 synchro that we can go into in this deck. I'm playing a single copy of Ravenous Crocodragon. This card is awesome in the deck because when you combine this card with your copy of Coral Dragon, you can actually get a draw 4 in this deck. And I do have 3 combos that you need to know to play this deck on the channel for Ice Barrier, which you guys should definitely check that out because I actually showcase the draw 4 combo for this deck, which is awesome. So definitely check out the combo video on the channel for Ice Barriers. It's a lot of help and it will help you guys actually understand this deck a little bit more. And lay a single copy of Dragite. Dragite is awesome as a spell trap negate in this deck and just a really cool card overall. You can lay a single copy of White Aura Whale. White Aura Whale just ends games because this card can attack multiple times, it does piercing damage, and it's just absolutely insane because when it is actually synchro summon, you can destroy all of your opponent's attack monsters, which is an insane ability just to help you go in for game. And lay a single copy of Coral Dragon. Coral Dragon is really good to combine with your copy of Ravenous Crocodragon, so you can actually get a draw 4 in this deck, which is again insane. You guys should definitely check out that combo video to actually see that combo because it's crazy powerful to use these 2 cards with your copy of Mirror Mage and all those tokens so you can actually get a draw 4 and dig into the deck. Lay a single copy of Number 4. Number 4 is just a really good option overall in this deck because it does burn damage and it turns everything on the field into water, which can really mess up your opponent's plays. Pops monsters on the field and does half burn damage to your opponent, equal the monster's attack points, which is a great effect. And lay a single copy of Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome is totally awesome in this deck because this card is just an awesome walking negate and one of the most powerful XZ monsters ever created. We then play a single copy of World Sea Dragon Zelantis. Zelantis is great because when you combine this card with your copy of Coral Anemone, you can actually waterlock your opponent so they won't get their monsters back because we're the ones putting them back, and our copy of Coral Anemone says we can only special summon our out water monsters to the field when this card effect is activated, meaning when we actually banish everything with our copy of Zelantis, they won't get their monsters back except for water off of Zelantis' effect. We made a single copy of Coral Anemone. Coral Anemone is great because this card is basically a walking monster reborn and does lock us into water monsters, which is crazy powerful when you combine it with your copy of Zelantis. We then finally play a single copy of Alamirage. Alamirage is just a great option to basically just normal summon out your copy of Mirror Mage just in case you need to, link it away, and then be able to summon out your copy of Alamirage just in case you need to. It's just a good option overall in this deck. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played an Ice Barrier deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's an extremely powerful deck. And definitely check out those combos on the channel for this deck as well because it's such a powerful build. It's just so fun to be able to play Ice Barriers just to basically lock down your opponent and summon out all sorts of awesome synchros. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.